I remember Oprah was telling women on the show to look at themselves in the mirror and just look at yourself naked. And what happened was she got a backlash for 2 weeks. But Oprah got a point. Since was the last time we look at ourselves in the mirror and examine ourselves to figure what we like about ourselves, what we dislike about ourselves, and what can we achieve to improve ourselves? And there was a lot of things I had to work on so I could understand where Oprah was coming from. So I want to talk to you today of how to improve yourself. And I'm in the hot seat.
Okay, so what can you tell us that your biggest struggle that made your self-esteem really low?
I want to
What
say
was
it was a struggle. It was more of a inner conflict. It was one of my demons.
okay?
And what I mean with one of my demons is one of those things I had to face. And sometimes when you face your demons, no one don't face it because it's scary. And I understand that. So one of my biggest demons was my confidence. I had low self-esteem. What caused my low self-esteem is I lived out in Kansas, and where I grew up at, there was not that many African Americans. It was a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood. And when I went to school, there was only 5 of us. And by going to school, I had an afro. And they taught me, calling me names like the Jackson 5 or Afro Man or hey, do you brush your hair or do you stuck your finger in a light socket? And it made me cry. The littlest things they used to say, about my glasses being big, made me cry. I had an afro, it made me cry. So Chris Rock, I understand why everyone hate Chris. But at that time, it was everyone hate KG. Oh, I feel you, my brother.
So, did you feel like your parents hated you?
It was not more of the internal. I was getting a lot of love at home. That's the internal. But dealing with society as a whole, going to school, it was everyone hates KG. I had some friends, but I didn't have that many because one of the things was cultural difference. They didn't see that many African Americans in that neighborhood or going to that particular school.
Developing friends and relationships can be quite hard, and the friends that you did make, a lot of times people think that they need a lot of friends, but you learned that you didn't need a whole entourage. You just
No.
needed somebody that could understand you or had things that was similar, and you had the same common interests. So, who were some of your friends in school? How many friends did you have?
There was Sharon Williams, Annie Monk, Wesley Bates,
Okay.
um, my fifth grade teacher, Mrs. McCatherine. And the reason why I said my teacher was one of my closest friends because she stood up for me when I was getting bullied. And I know, like when my mom sometimes dropped me off, she gives Miss McCatherine a checklist of things for me to do after school to work on my self-esteem. And here's the thing, and rest in peace, DJ Twitch. Um, my self-esteem, I was worried. I couldn't say I truly cared about myself. When you're a little kid, being in elementary school is supposed to be the best time of your life, right? Wrong. Mine was like a Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, being teased, taunted. I remember a few times, I got chased home a few times. Now, when I got home, it was two different scenarios. Scenario number one, so I went to my father. Boy, you got chased home again? You need to stand your ground and fight. I'm like, Dad, there's 2 of them. So? I mean, I could have lose. Take it like a man. I'm like, take it like a man? Okay, I'm gonna scrap that idea. Let's go to mom and see what she has to say about this. So I went to my mom and she said, you wanna talk about it? I said, yeah, mom, we got ran home again. Okay, why you got ran home again? because it was like that's one of the favorite things after school. Chase me home. And I guess the reason why they want to see my reaction. And mom said it's okay to cry. And it's okay to show humanity. Because if you don't show your emotions, then you have your kids like the Mendez brothers. And they didn't show their emotions when they off their parents. That's scary. Now with dad, and the reason why he said what he said, and that came down to your experience of being in the military, if you show your emotions, your enemy will pick at you and tear you down to nothingness. And when you have to man up, you just have to say, just brush your feelings aside and move on and continue with the mission. Now, the drawback to that is that could be traumatizing because all those times that you don't show your emotions, you're gonna have a nervous breakdown.
At the time when you was in school and you were being bullied, were there any losses? Did you have any losses in friendships? From either just losing your friends, not being friends anymore, or some of your friends died early?
It was a combination of everything. Well, with Wesley, he had to worry about his popularity, which I get it. I mean, he had to be in the in crowd, and I guess at the time, his name was Jamie Miller, playground bully, and he was one of the populars. So to become in crowd, be cool. Jamie used to pick on me. Austin used to pick on me, and Wesley was at a point where he didn't know what to do. It was either be with the in crowd and pick on me, or be ostracized for being my friend. I mean, it was sad, but I get it. I mean, I'm not trying to defend the behavior, but at the time, with human nature, everyone want to be accepted. And when it came to on the female aspect, when I was younger, I was not that accepted. It was kind of like it was the ugly duckling technique. What I mean by the ugly duckling technique, I didn't dress like how they dress. My hair was an afro, and yeah, that did play a part on my confidence level, because it's like, for me, for the longest time, I thought there was something wrong with me. Which, like, a shout out to O'Shea. Now, I'm glad they passed me by, because I'm doing well now. But the point of the matter is trying to focus on myself and be a better self. And it was hard to, because when you didn't have that many friends or a support system, I had an inner support system that was my mom, her friends, my dad, and their friends. So when I was younger, I kind of grew up kind of fast, because most of the peers I hung out with was adults. So basically, my peer group, I didn't have that many from a peer group. So the societal aspect, I had to grow up fast and mature.
And so when you would go home and talk to your dad about, your school day, and you would tell him how you had been picked on and kind of traumatized, did you all try to sit down and draw up a plan, or did you try to come up to the school? And
Dad came to the school a few times, but at the same time, I guess when I talked to Dad, I guess some of the memories of how he was growing up came back. It was like a flashback.
Okay.
Because when he was growing up, see, I was picked on the outside. Dad was picked on by his own family. And sometimes when your kids go through the same thing, it could bring up a parents their own trauma, and it's kind of hard for them to face it. I cannot be mad at Dad for that. He tried. It's just when I had to face my demons, and Dad was trying to help me face my demons, it just brought back a lot of his stuff through me. And when I talked to Mom, she understood, because the stuff that I went through going to school, she faced the same thing going to school. Now, Mom, on the other hand, I always joke around that she don't play nice on the playground. So what I mean by doesn't play nice on the playground, Mom had to fend for herself. So yeah, she had to kick everyone's behind on the playground. It was a survival technique, because Mom said, I'm not having it. You're not going to pick on me. It's going to be a bad day for you. Now me, I was the opposite of Mom. I played by myself on the playground. So I just walk around the blacktop by myself and just watch other kids play. Sometimes I get invited to play kickball, but I play by myself. Versus Mom didn't play well with others because she was not having it.
And so I noticed that you said that you was depressed and you felt lonely. Now, do you realize that those come under the heading of grief? You know, there are 7 stages of grief, and in those 7 stages, you named depression, you named loneliness, you felt empty, and like I said, all those fall under the signs of grief. And you said you had lost some people, classmates, best friends, associates. So did you ever feel like, did you make you feel like you was in shock, or were you in denial?
Well, I want to start with Nick.
Mm-hmm.
When he passed away in the war in 2003,
Mm-hmm.
I blame myself for his death. And the reason why I blame myself for his death is because Nick was younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this mentality, I was the older one. It was my time to go. Kind of like Lieutenant Dan, like how every generation passed on the war in Forrest Gump. It's kind of like I was supposed to be his keeper, but he saved my life from being canceled. So from 2003 to about, say, 2006, it was a dark cloud over my head. When Chris died back in '96, he saved me from drowning in a lake, and he it was Christmas Day of '95 when he saved me from the lake. But the following year, he fell out of the truck, and that was a blow, because with Chris, when I was a freshman in high school, I was making friends, but here's the problem. When it came to relationships with girls, I was their friend. I was kind of like the big brother. That was it. And it used to depress me because, okay, I did set my standards too high. I was trying to go way higher with the populars. And Chris, it was like, it's okay, can you be turned down? I said, really, Chris? How you gonna explain to me that? And he pulled me in the side and said, Kenny, there was times I got turned down. I'm like, why you got turned down? And Chris was like, I had a health problem, but I did not let that stop me. And I asked Chris, how you get over that? So after school, instead of going straight home, I got off the bus, I went to his house, he played the guitar, and it was music. He was good with it was acoustic. It was like he played like the Doors, Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze, and it made me feel good about myself, because here's a person, he was one of the populars. I was prominent, meaning well known. He spent time on his day to work on my self-esteem and just tell me it's okay to be rejected. Sometimes being rejected is the best thing, because you never know later down the road what you're going to get.
So when you was around Chris, that was more like a safe place for you.
Yeah, Chris
You had somebody to talk to and kind of that kind of saw you as.
Yeah, Chris Roberts, when I couldn't talk to Dad about certain things, about the female issues or how to handle being a teenager, I went to Chris because Chris didn't put me down. He didn't have to say man up and put your big boy shorts on.
Yeah.
He said, Kenny, it's okay
Mm-hmm.
because I struggle. Jeff struggled. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's okay to be human.
Absolutely.
Because one of the strongest traits about you, Kenny, and I have to look at Chris dead in the eye. Chris, he didn't play that look down the ground or look in the sky. Chris was kind of in your face person. You look into his eyes, and he would tell you. He was real about himself. He said, "King, look at me in the eyes. The best characteristics about you and what people really like about you. You may not hear this, King, but people at Park Hill talked about you and that you were the light. You was always smiling, and you were always humane. Even some of the bullies at the time became your friends because you were humane. You showed humanity. That's not a weakness, Kenny. That's a strength. Show your emotions."
So, what happened to Chris? You kept in contact with Chris? Or?
Well, Chris is no longer with us. Back in '96,
Oh, that's right.
he
I remember.
they were in a pickup truck, and he fell out.
Wow.
So it was a head trauma.
Well,
And to this day, I kept my promise to Chris to show humanity because I felt like I owe that to him because he saved my life.
you know, Kenny, one of the things that I have an ultimate respect for you is being able to be open and to show vulnerability. You know, we always want to walk around being the tough person, or we always want to walk around saying that, you know, we've got this. And that's, you know, I'm supposed to, as you say, either put on your Superman panties or your underdog drawers or whatever, but it doesn't make you
less than a person.
It doesn't.
And I think that's what happened to Twitch, because Twitch, he was fun loving and he wanted to do stuff for people. But here's the thing, and I had to learn this the hard way. You can only give so much, but at the end of the day, if you don't give to yourself and help yourself and face your own traumas, that's where a lot of troubles fall. And back to the time I didn't have to grieve, Tim Head and Emily, my co-workers at Walmart, they passed away back to back. And I had to keep it together because working at Walmart, if they know you have friends that you care about that passed away, they will pick on you. So I had to keep it together. I want to cry for Emily. I want to cry for Tim. And what made me held it up for Tim, and I remember it was like yesterday. Tim was in the hospital, and I was working that night, and I felt honored because when he called me, he said, "Kenny, you're my best friend," and even though you're a Cardinals fan and I'm a Cubs fan, we still rocked it together.
Right.
I'm dying. I may not be coming back to work, and will you do me a favor? Hold your head up. I'll be all right. I said, yeah. Don't tell no one else. Let them find out. Because the reason why I'm telling you this, because Kenny, you never picked on me. You never made fun of me. Tim had a unique ability.
Okay.
Tim, he had trouble comprehending things, and people made fun of him. So I took my time a day and said, "Hey Tim, let's get a piece of paper out. and write stuff down. I'm gonna give you a little short list. And we became the best of friends after that day because I never made fun of him because I know what it's like to be the outcast. Because I too, I've been made fun of when I was a kid. And I made a promise to myself that whoever been made fun of, I'm not gonna do them like that because I know what it's like. I've been in those shoes. I had to face the demons of being picked on and feel like what it's like to be worthless. I'm not worthless. I am somebody. And I wanted to tell Tim that he was somebody, that he's loved and he got friends. And when I got that call, I cried because it was between Easter and April Fool's Day that he passed. But knowing that he told me, I was the first person he told me, I felt good because I have no regrets. Because I knew that I treated him with decency, respect.
And see, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is because when they go through this cycle of feeling like they in charge, which you very little things that you have charge of, and that's on a different level because some people say, well, you control everything.
The master of the universe syndrome.
Well, well, I kind of disagree with that, you know, and the part of not crying because you've seen me and you've known over the years I'm not a big crier.
Well, because Mom, here's the thing, and the reason why you're not a big crier. Back to the military thing.
Yeah.
Because Grandma was crazy crazy than the road lizard, and if you show compassion around Grandma, oh good night, she will make fun of you. She will make you pay. I remember a story that you was telling about the outside, and it was one of your videos. And said, "Oh, you like the outside, huh? What happened? You got put in the closet."
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why I didn't want to show my films at the time because I remembered that story. I was like, "Oh, good God! If I tell someone I like something or something that bothered me, Walmart was notorious of the grandma effect. You tell Walmart you like something, they take it away from you.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like loosening the football,
Right.
and it's like Charlie Brown tried to kick that football. Lucy moved it, and I guess working in a hostile environment, it wasn't a bad thing. And the reason why it's not a bad thing because it taught me to be humane, but also too, it taught me the balance of humanity. And you have to defend for yourself because if you don't defend for yourself, they will walk over you. They will break you down. They would demoralize you. And I've seen people at work getting demoralized, chain smoking, drinking, gambling because managers who are narcissistic took pride of it, just breaking their associates down and bragging about it in the meetings. And I'm like, and they were trying to make me the guinea pig, but it didn't work. It made them mad because I chewed gum, and that kept me from lashing back at them because I didn't want to lose the piece of gum because it would have been my last piece of gum. I had scripts in my head, like this one co-manager, Therese Vanzetti, and she was military just like Pops. She was a sergeant, but the point of the matter was she just going around picking people. And I remember she came and she was trying to pick on me. And I had the script in my head. I'm like, they made you co-manager. Interesting. And she said, what are you smiling about? Oh, nothing. Carry on. And she just walked on by. Because I guess I took the fun out of her day.
Sometimes, like, if people see that they can't, kind of like they say, rock your world or
rock the boat.
You do things to humiliate you, they go on. But, you know, a lot of times, and this is what I tell people, you do not have to survive anybody, but survive your own adversities. Yeah. And that's why a lot of people run around trying to get validation from.
And I think that was part of my problem. Because, okay, part of the problem I had with the self-esteem issue, and now I feel good about myself, I didn't have a car. Okay. But what I realized by not having a car, oh, I didn't have to pay the property taxes. I didn't have to buy tires. I didn't have to gas the sucker up. But at the time, I thought having a car, it was like being a male, and males like to have females. The car thing, and Dave, he said, Kenny, as long as you're going to school and you're not in the basement playing video games, you're making something out of your life. I mean, what's a car? Just to get you around. If you need to go somewhere, I take you. Mom was the same way. And I remember when I was in high school, some of my coworkers at the Outback Steakhouse, it drove them nuts because before they had the sidewalk, I walk on the side of the road from the Coves to Outback. My coworkers stop on the side, get in the car. I'm taking you to work. Joe Don was the same way. When I was in the Coves, Joe Don was the kitchen manager. I couldn't sneak off to walk into work because every time I tried it, Joe Don stopped me. And Joe Don, he noticed I had issues with my confidence. He built up my confidence by taking me work with him. And I worked back in the kitchen. He said, Kenny, you're not just only a dish person. You're a human being. You got a lot of potential. And I'm going to bring out those potentials. I'm going to train you online so you won't be stuck in that dish pit only. You be versatile. Roger Rhodes, he was the proprietor of the Outback Steakhouse. He always called me, hey, Kenny G, come out the dish pit for a minute. Can you go out and help the busters? They come behind busting tables. And Roger saw a lot of potential in me. Rudy Pattonfoot, the principal of Park Hill, same thing, saw a lot of potential. It's good for all these people that see all these potentials in me, but my biggest problem was I didn't see those potentials. And I was holding myself back. It wasn't like the Chris Finches, the Therese Renzettis holding me back. No, I was holding myself back because I doubted myself. Why I doubted myself? Well, Dad always said in the military, failure is not an option. But here's the thing, and Mom taught me about this, back to Mom's thing about failure. The true meaning of failure is not taking an attempt, not even trying. That's the true meaning of failure. Okay, you didn't succeed in that, but did you learn from it? Okay, try again. Don't stop, keep trying. But Dad, being in the military, I love Dad. Rest in peace, Lavelle Garrett. His idea of failure not an option is don't come back until the mission is succeeded. And for years, when I go to work, I was what they call a perfectionist. And that was my trauma because for years I accepted that programming failure was not an option. And a lot of jobs, I could have asked for help, but I didn't because I felt like it's my mission. I could accomplish it on my own. And sometimes some people you think are going to come help you, they won't help you. So I always took it upon myself and try to do stuff by myself, which that could be dangerous because let's say if something's very heavy, I could pull my back. I could have a hernia. I could end my work career right then and there because I didn't ask for help. Because that failure not an option.
And I call the people that don't ask for help and don't reach out or what? VIPs.
I mean, that's just that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not asking for help is pure fuckery, because a lot of people that don't ask for help, they ended like an Amy Winehouse or a DJ Twitch. But they were trying to reach for help, but people just didn't pay attention to signs. And if I didn't pay attention, and I'm glad Mom paid attention to the signs because I didn't see the signs. I wasn't okay. Because some of the signs I wasn't okay, financially, I was not okay because I was depressed. I had problems processing decisions. Because when Mom asked me a question, I was in a fog. I didn't have a direct answer. I could have said, I don't have an answer right now. May I get back with you? I didn't even say that. I just had a blank stare. Like, is there anyone? Kenny, are you home? I just have then that's a bad sign. Anytime you have a blank stare on your face and you don't answer, that's trauma right there.
And now we come to the part of, this was kind of a tough month for, our family because your father's birthday was around May 20th.
And Father's Day
Father's Day was the day he passed away.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you, how are you doing at this time? How are you dealing with his grief, his death?
If you asked me this question 5 years ago, I wouldn't have a clue because I would have just kept on trucking, kept on going. But life is a process, and I'm fine. And the reason why I'm saying I'm fine because he's in a better place. I'm in a better place because I'm more talking about it now.
Yeah.
I'm not at the point where I used to blame myself for something that was not in my control.
That's that feeling of depression that you was in, a feeling of hopelessness, because that is kind of profound in depression. We're sad. We feel like it's something that's that emptiness, and we get into a bargaining state, and we wish that we could
trade places, or trade something,
reverse the whole situation. Wish it to go away,
or like I want to go back in a time machine and change that event.
Yeah,
but that's not going to happen.
And it's just hard, even if it's not a death, people do that in reality because something bad can happen.
Like their finances going to crash. They lose their job, in which that's understandable. But at the end of the day, you have to go in the mirror and look at yourself. Don't look up. Don't look down. Yeah, Oprah did take some flack for it, but to all the viewers, I want to say, look straight in yourself and ask yourself what you like about yourself. Name all good stuff and attributes. Then you go into, okay, I don't like about this about myself. You have to ask the question, why, and what can you do to change that?
What changes have you made today?
Oh, there's a lot of changes.
Could you name a few for us?
Oh yes, I can name a few. I remember when Mom asked me about future plans. Like, okay, Kenny, now jobs do shift. Now, if you would ask me this question back in 2020, Mom, I wouldn't have the answer because I was in that fog. I was in that stage of depression. Now, if you ask me, okay, what's your future plans? Okay, so we got this rotten boss. Okay, keep looking for jobs. Change financial. If the stuff get tight, change stuff here financially. I mean, just have a plan. But if you asked me a few years ago, I wouldn't have a plan. I wouldn't know where to begin. Now I can sit down, outline stuff, where then I couldn't outline anything. Another thing, rejection. Like, shout out to O'Shea Du Jackson. Thank God for some of those females that turned me down. I can be petty and dusty. But sometimes getting turned down is the best thing because what happened? You married the wrong person. And then you're stuck with her fuckery. And then you have kids. And then the children stuck with that fuckery. And it's a vicious cycle again. So if I get turned down now, I can truly say, there's nothing wrong with me. I can accept me. Can they accept themselves? See, when you get to a point where you can accept yourself from your strengths and weaknesses, that's inner peace. And when I had all those traumatizing losses from Nick, Tim, Emily, Chris, even when I was younger, and there's a Christmas list of people I lost, but or Matt Fowler, I didn't have that inner peace. I was struggling. I was in survival mode. I couldn't show emotion. I had to be that little toy soldier to move forward.
So you're working through this process step by step.
Hobbies. I make jerseys. I got a YouTube channel. Work to do that. So I have a support group. I sit down and I talk to my family. Whereas at one point it was nothing against mom. I had a hard time expressing my hurt because I did not know where to hurt. I didn't have a pinpoint of the hurt because it was like a ray of sun. I was hurt in so many directions. I did not know where to begin. And when you look in the mirror, and this is why Oprah got the backlash, the mirror is a centralized point of view. You look into the soul of yourself. The old saying is, the eyes is the windows of the soul. And when you're looking straight in the mirror at your eyes, you're looking at yourself. And a lot of people don't want to look at themselves because there's a lot of things about themselves they don't want to face. Shoot, there was stuff about myself I did not want to face. Oh, good God. But at the end of the day, like Mama said, you don't have to survive people. You have to survive yourself. And one of the things I learned, it could be like a double-edged sword. It's okay to be helpful, but I need to help myself. I need to take time back from people and focus on what do Kenny like? What do Kenny need to accomplish for today? What do Kenny have life goals from 5 years from now? I'm going to tell you my end game. I want to be financially comfortable. I don't want to deal with corporate America, a fuckery. I want to work at home, have my YouTube channel, have a little small business selling small autograph cards and stuff. I want to do what makes me happy. It's okay to help out people. If anyone's saying to help yourself is selfish, no, that's a misconception, because being truly selfish, if you help, and you got nothing left to give to yourself, then that's where you're selfish. Because we as individuals, and I had a hard time accepting this, but I'm at this point in my life, at the journey of 45 years of age, and the lead attorney talk about, I'm 46, I'm an old man. Lead. Not many people are not making it our age today. They check it out at 18, 27, and 50. But back to the point of the matter is, you had to step back from people like Dave after Nick passed away. And the reason why he kept me out of the Marines, because Nick was worried about Dave, because Dave had his own demons. And Nick figured if he kept me alive, I could help Dave on his journey. Dave got 2 wonderful boys, a wife, and he's in the military. Kudos to you, Dave Crayball. Now I'm stepping back. I got Dave to his journey. I got Mason to his journey. I can step back and focus on me, what I want to do in life. I got to find out what makes me happy. Writing, that makes me happy. To the people out there, I'm gonna give you a challenge. Sit down, meditate, and find out what makes you happy. What you dislike about yourself, what you like about yourself, and find the pros and cons. And if your con list is more than your pro list, then take your cons step by step and work on it and make your weakness into your strength. And it's okay to be turned down, because sometimes rejection is the best thing, because it's not always you. It's the other person. And I get what Mom's saying, that you have to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to take self-accountability, self-evaluation, and you have to understand self-worth. And I want to thank Mom for that, because if it wasn't for her, I would have ended up like Twitch, rest in peace. Amy Winehouse, rest in peace. Heath Ledger, rest in peace. Because they gave so much of themselves in Hollywood, but what was left to give from themselves? And what happened, if you give too much, you become an empty shell. And I was almost hitting to that road, and Mom pulled the e-brake on that, and tell me it's time to focus on me. Thanks, Mom.
Well, Kenny, you've made me exceptionally proud. And like I said, one of the things, and I'm going to have to stop saying like I said, because I'm counting that in my head. I say that a lot, but I put myself on the hot seat in the mirror too.
But we're all human.
Yeah.
Life is a learning process. And I'm not going to use the word mistakes, people, because words could play a negative connotation or a positive connotation. So the word of today is life lessons. Now, where the mistake lies, if you keep repeating it and not learning and not growing. And like some people, and the reason why I hung out with moms and dads peers, because some of the people in my age peers when I was growing up, they were stagnant. They were worrying about their popularity. I was worried about the world events. I was worried about currency, the stock market. And when I went to school, I'm talking about the French franc, the British pound, the Japanese yen, the Russian ruble. People were looking at me, what the hell are you talking about? Are you normal? Yes, I'm normal, but that's the stuff I like. I didn't always go outside and be the toy soldier. I did like outside, but I like to learn. And one of the things that Dad used to joke about, oh, here goes the rabbit. Oh no, you did not just take that apart. You're gonna put that back together. I had a bad habit of being the rabbit or the gremlin, taking stuff apart and putting it back together, because my thing of fascination, I like to see how things work. And that's one of the things that was my therapy, taking stuff apart and being the fixer.
And that's something that a lot of people don't do, because they go into a state of sadness or depression, and instead of working through it or finding something niche or something to do, then they just kind of set it out and they go into a deeper depression, because they're consumed with so much hurt and anger, and they're consumed with, if I could have did this, or if I would have did that, instead of trying to get up and it's hard. It's really hard to work through that period.
And I think the reason why it's hard for people to work through it is the struggle, dealing with themselves, because sometimes people just don't want to deal with it. They just want to push it aside. But here's the bad thing about pushing it aside. You kick the can, and one day you have to face it, and over time it accumulate. And I'm gonna be honest, some of my stuff has accumulated, because I'm gonna be honest, did I take the time to grieve? Nope. Did I take the time to focus on the king? Nope. I was trying to be G.I. Joe, the American fixer, trying to fix everyone else's stuff.
But you notice in COVID, Kenny, and I know this is sad to say, they did not address grief.
They didn't address mental illness or mental health.
No. And the thing about it, when you said that there you had so many losses, look at all the people with, in this invisible virus. They couldn't pick and choose who to grieve. That's not the way life
No,
works.
no.
They lost, so many people lost, and this was the first time that
A pandemic has affected everyone worldwide.
right.
And the problem, and I'm going to be honest, Mom, when it said, let's get back to normal, no, you cannot get back to normal because all the people that have lost. And people didn't have enough time to grieve. The healthcare industry was breaking down because they were committing side words. Because when they came in contact with the invisible virus, they had to quarantine themselves and their loved ones. And isolation is the most deadly virus for people committing sideways.
And so today, in this moment in time, and you said you've made really some real good improvements.
Hey, look at these guns.
in-
That's one of these improvements.
All right, with your guns. They call that in that part of in that session of dealing with stages of grief. They call that it's an upturn. It's a gradual improvement of your emotional restoration. So you're in a place now where you've gotten to a point where you're just kind of moving up and moving forward, and not just seeing, oh, I'm over it. That's not the way it works. But it's a rest. You're rebuilding and restoring your life.
Yeah, not to cut you off, Mom,
Uh-huh.
but I realized something about the decision making process. I remember back in this is a cute story. So we went to this place called it was in Bombay. It was Carl Wu's place. What was his place, Mom? JM Imports.
JM Imports.
There was this table. It was a beautiful table. I got the table.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. The problem was I was clogged in my decision making because I vacillated. Cause I had the money. I sold my stock. I was gonna plan on paying 3 months of rent. And Mom's like, "Get the table. Don't be cheap. Because the table at the time was going for $16,000." And Carl, he knew Mom because Mom knew how to will and deal. That's her strongest points of communication. He was selling the table to me for $4,000. Now, okay, it was not just the table. It was the table. It was a buffet, a lamp, and 4 chairs. Now, where you could get a table, a lamp, a buffet, and 4 chairs for $4,000? Come on, people, get real.
And a lot of people will look at that as being very pricey, but
here's
didn't want to be buying more furniture. That furniture,
the table
very high quality furniture.
It's still around. That table
still around.
is like brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And back to vacillating, and the reason why I was vacillating because I was more trying to figure out. Okay, I couldn't grasp the concept of, okay, if I got this table, I don't have to be buying any more tables. And sometimes when you vacillate, or it's called, is it the word delay, Mom? The delay in the mental process where you couldn't come to the final conclusion, so you kind of go back and forth. And we kind of went back and forth, and then finally I was like, okay, got the table. And that's not probably my decision making at that time, because I didn't have time to grieve. My mind was stuck because from Nikki's death, I was struggling with myself. When can I grieve? And that's dangerous. When you don't have, when a person has been gone that long, and you like Nick, if you haven't, at the time that was 2007. That was 4 years after Nikki passed away. and hit with the table. So I was struggling. Mom, it wasn't that I didn't want the table. I was struggling with my demon, Mom, with Nick's death. Trying to come to terms that it was not my fault. That's a part of life. And when you're in the military, you make sacrifices. So I was struggling with myself. It's okay to show my emotion, or when's the appropriate time to show your emotion. So it was more, less of the table. It was more of the appropriate time to show emotion and grief. Because sometimes in society, people say, "Oh, you're out of pocket. This is not the time to show emotion." And I was struggling with myself because I'm at this place, and I was thinking about Nick at the time, and I couldn't process about the table, of the longevity of the table, where I didn't have to buy another table, another dining room set. It was just dealing with myself and dealing with grief.
You seem to be in a much better place, a more talkative place, and that's good, because a lot of people really internalize. They don't come out and talk. The talking part is kind of like a healing part. It's a part where when you're getting it out, talking it out with somebody that you can trust, then that way you can say you're moving toward wellness.
And to a lot of people who's going through trauma, who've been through abuse, physical, mental, psychological, verbal abuse, don't go silent. Because here's the thing I want people to understand here and now. It's not your fault. And the biggest problem is, because we get into that situation, in that childhood trauma, we tend to say, "Oh, it's my fault." And you get put in a situation and you go through years blaming yourself, and you push people away. And I'm gonna be honest, there's sometimes I had trust in people, because my personal trauma of being made fun of, and losing the co-workers that grow fond of, and sometimes when you lose someone dear to you and you try to start a next chapter in your life, it can hinder you, because you don't want to repeat that vicious cycle of, "Am I going to lose this person?" And that was my problem. And speaking of cycles, we need to end the cycle in saying it's not your fault. And when you understand it's not your fault, then you need to address where you're hurt. And I learned from all this, and to people who are traumatized, it's okay to talk about it. Because once you start to talk about it, that's where you go on that journey of peace. And I remember what Lewis House said, because when he was growing up, he was traumatized, and he had to go through therapy. And sometimes you have to go through that process, get help. And when you're silent, and this is the life lesson I made. Sometimes going silent, it's not a good thing. No, because if you don't talk about what's bothering you, how can a person reach out to you when you don't talk? And sometimes, how can you reach out to yourself if you don't talk? I remember my brother V, he processed stuff on the outward. And I'm like, I'm digging that. Self-talk. So there's times if mom's not here, if she's out and something kind of bothers me, I have a self-talk. And sometimes I have to think stuff out loud. And it's okay to talk to yourself. Now when you answer back, it might be a little creepy. But It's okay to have self-talk and talk to yourself because that's therapy. Am I still in therapy? Yes, I'm still in therapy. But if you compare me to today in 2023 to back 2019, 2020, I was in a deep, dark place. And we're not talking about Darth Vader. And when I mean by dark place, like the lead attorney can say, what do you mean by dark place? My dark place could be in a fishing hole with money bass fishing. Well, my dark place was my thought processing was not firing on all cylinders. I had trouble talking my feelings out because I was in that mentality of I'm weak if I show emotion. But there's times when there's no one around, I do grieve and cry. But the problem with that was, did I talk it out? No. I kept it in. So back to the dark place, I kept stuff in. My thought process was fogged. I didn't have a plan. Cause let's say something happens with an economy, and if you ask me if I had a plan for that back in 2020, nope, I wouldn't have a plan. Today, I say, okay, that job is lost. Find another one. Keep job hopping. Rearrange some stuff. Make sure you have enough stuff to be okay with. And if you get to a dark place where you're sad because you lost your job, talk about it. And a part of my dark place, it was too much pride. And the Bible said, pride before the fall. And pride is the number one killer amongst people around the world, because they're so stuck in their pride and say, oh, I don't need help. I got this by myself. No, you don't got this. Don't get to a rock bottom place where everything spirals out of control. Get help right then and there. And that was my problem. I thought I had everything. Did I have everything? Nope. Because I was trying to be that fixer. I was trying to fix everyone else's problem, but did I step back and work on Kenny's problems? Nope. What I'm doing today, if someone asks me, hey, Kenny, I said, nah, not today, man. Today's my day off. It's my me time to look in the mirror and reflect on who I am as an individual, a man, and an African American.
So how do you feel today, right now?
Honestly, I still got stuff to work on. That's part of the journey. But today, I feel pretty damn good. I'm still alive. I made good choices in eating. I'm not taking no medications. I kept the group of friends I have. Like Mom said, you don't need an entourage, because that very person, that entourage, can get you messed up, sent to jail, or someplace else. But at this moment in time, there's some stuff I can do better. I'm working on it. Am I happy with my well-being? I'm happy with my mental well-being because I'm talking. I'm reaching out to people because I know there's people out there who's in my shoes 3 or 4 years ago. I'm happy physically because another thing too, when I was a little kid, I was a chubba wubba. Oh, they call me, hey, look at the chocolate marshmallow man. Oh, they made so much fun of me about my weight, how fat I was. We ain't talking about where Al Yankovic was. I'm fat, jump on. But see, that was encouraged me to work on my weight. So I've been, over the years, working on my weight, stay with my eating, and my mom always get on me and say, "Boy, stop moving, people. Enjoy your day off."
And through the length of this video,
I think we need to wrap it up because it's bedtime.
well, Kenny, I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm glad that you can, like I said, show your emotions and understanding the hurt and the pain, and to everybody out there, let's not try these materials may work. And on that note, we can say, would you be in a good place?
The question I'm going to throw to people out there, are you in a good place? Are you happy with yourself? If not, find a way to get there. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get there, as long as you get there. If you like this content, hit like and subscribe. More content coming to you in the future. Good night and God bless.